The desert was quiet in a way that felt wrong. No wind. No birds. No machines in the sky. Just sand stretching forever under a dull orange sun. People called this place the Dead Zone, a land scarred by the old human-alien war. Nothing valuable was supposed to be left here. Nothing alive. Eli Harper drove his old transport truck slowly across the broken ground. He was not a soldier anymore. He was not a hero. He was just a scrap runner, collecting forgotten metal from forgotten places. The war had taken too much from him already, and the desert was the only place where the memories stayed. Quiet. Then the scanner beeped. Eli frowned and slowed the truck. The signal was weak, buried under layers of sand and rock, but it was clear. Power. That made no sense. He checked the display again. The reading did not disappear. Something below the surface was still alive, still running. Even after all these years, Eli parked the truck and stepped out. Heat pressed down on him like a heavy hand. He followed the scanner on foot, walking until his boot hit metal. He knelt and brushed away the sand. A door, not just any door, thick, reinforced, half melted by old plasma burns. Faded warning signs covered its surface. Human text. Alien symbols. Red lines scratched deep, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. Eli's chest tightened. He knew these signs. He had seen them during the war. Containment. His hand hovered over the control panel. Most of it was dead, but a single light still blinked, slow and tired. Like a weak heartbeat. He should leave. That was the smart choice. Whatever was inside had been sealed for a reason. The war had taught him that curiosity could get you killed. Then he heard it. A voice. Soft, shaking, barely louder than the wind. Human. Please. Eli froze. The voice came again, clearer this time, filled with fear. Open the door. I can't breathe anymore. His heart started to race. He looked around, half expecting soldiers or drones to appear. Nothing moved. The voice sounded young. Not aggressive. Not commanding. Begging. Quotes. I know you're there, the voice whispered. I can hear your heart. Eli swallowed hard. His fingers curled into fists. He had heard screams like that during the war on battlefields, in ruined cities. But those screams had been loud, full of anger and hate. This one was different. This one was tired. What are you? Eli asked, his voice rough. There was a pause. Then a quiet answer. I am. Trapped. That was all she said. The scanner beeped again, louder now, as if warning him. Eli remembered the story's aliens with strange biology, living weapons, creatures too dangerous to be free. He remembered orders. Do not engage. Do not question. Do not hesitate. But he also remembered faces, civilians, children, people who had paid the price for those orders. Why are you here? He asked. Her voice cracked. Because my blood is different. Because they said I was useful. Something cold twisted in Eli's stomach. They promised protection, she continued. Then they locked the door. They left me when the war ended. The light on the panel flickered. I have been alone for so long, she whispered. Please, they will come back. If they find me awake. Her words broke into quiet sobs. Eli closed his eyes. He thought of all the doors he had never opened. All the times he had obeyed and walked away. All the people he could not save. This time, the door was right in front of him. He placed his hand on the control panel. The metal felt warm, alive. If I open this, he said slowly, everything might change. Yes, the voice replied. Her answer came without hesitation. Please, she added softly. Let it change. Eli took a deep breath and pressed the button. The steel door groaned like it remembered every footstep that had ever passed it. Sparks flew from the old circuits as the ancient lock disengaged. Eli held his breath. A hiss echoed through the bunker, a sound both alive and tired, like it had waited decades for someone to open it. Inside, the room smelled of metal and antiseptic. Fluorescent lights flickered weakly above, casting long shadows on cracked floors. At the center of the room stood a glass chamber. It was tall, cylindrical, and humming softly, as if holding a heart that refused to die. Eli's eyes widened when he saw her. She was smaller than a human adult, her body delicate, almost fragile-looking. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly under the dim lights. Her silver eyes were too large for her face, wide with fear and disbelief. Strange marks ran along her arms like faint constellations, pulsing slowly, softly, as if each one carried a memory. She pressed her hands against the glass. Her fingers were long and graceful, but the tremble in them betrayed her terror. You opened it," she whispered. Her voice was soft, trembling with relief and disbelief. Tears welled in her eyes, catching the light, turning them into tiny stars. "You really opened it. I thought no one ever would." Eli stepped closer, his own pulse loud in his ears. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. The hum of the chamber seemed to answer for her, rising and falling like a heartbeat. They trapped me," she said, voice breaking. "Because of my blood, my DNA. It can heal, adapt, survive things no one else can. They wanted it. They cut me, studied me, used me like a tool. Over and over. And when the war ended, they left me here." Eli's stomach turned. Humans or someone had done this to her. He thought of the soldiers he had served with, the commanders, the experiments he had seen in secret. None of them should have been capable of such cruelty, yet here she was, proof that fear and greed could make monsters out of anyone. Her hands slid down the glass, her shoulders shaking. I can't leave alone. They'll come back. Always. They say I'm too valuable. Too rare. Too important. They'll kill anyone who tries to help me." Eli took a step back. He looked around the bunker, noticing the automated systems long abandoned. Cameras with shattered lenses, consoles with blinking red warnings, vents that hissed with the remnants of ancient air circulation. Every corner of this place spoke of control and imprisonment, not care or protection. "You don't deserve this," he said softly. "No one does. And you certainly don't deserve to be left here alone." She tilted her head, her eyes searching his. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. I could be dangerous." Eli swallowed hard. Memories of the war surged through him, countless faces of innocence. The way fear could twist someone into doing things they would regret forever. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind," he said. "I know what it's like to be forgotten. And I can't. Not help." Her eyes widened slightly, the faintest shimmer of hope igniting. "Then, you will free me?" He nodded slowly, though fear clawed at his chest. "I'll try. But I don't know what's waiting outside this chamber. We might not make it." A quiet resolve passed over her face, and she pressed her forehead against the glass. "I would rather die trying than live trapped forever," she said softly. Her voice trembled, but it carried strength, courage born from years of suffering. Eli took a deep breath and moved toward the control panel. The console flickered weakly, lights dancing across its worn surface. Buttons and levers, some melted, some frozen in place, called to him. Somewhere deep down, he knew every second counted. One wrong move, one hesitation, and all the hope in the universe could vanish with a hiss of steam or a spark of electricity. "Are you ready?" he asked. "I've waited my whole life for this," she whispered, voice barely audible. "I've waited for a human to remember what mercy means." Eli's fingers hovered over the main release. Sparks shot up from the old circuits. The glass chamber groaned. Then, slowly, the locking mechanisms began to disengage. The girl's eyes glistened. She held her breath. Eli felt the weight of every choice he had ever made pressing down on him. And for a moment, the world felt impossibly quiet, suspended between freedom and captivity, between fear and hope. "Hold on," Eli said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his chest. "We're getting you out." Her small hands pressed once more against the glass, and then slowly, impossibly, the chamber doors began to slide open. The hum faded, replaced by the soft rush of air, carrying with it the scent of freedom. She stepped out carefully, trembling but alive, and for the first time in years, she looked at him without fear. Her silver eyes locked on his, and in them he saw gratitude, relief, and a fragile spark of trust that he had thought the war had burned out of the world. And in that moment, Eli understood one simple truth. Some doors were meant to be opened, not just to save others, but to remind humans of the mercy they were capable of. The glass doors slid open with a low, grinding hiss, and the girl stepped out slowly. Her legs wobbled as if she had forgotten how to walk on solid ground. Eli moved beside her, keeping his eyes on the shadows. The bunker was silent for a moment, but he knew silence like this never lasted. Not here, not with someone like her. I've never touched the floor like this, she whispered, her voice trembling. Her pale blue fingers brushed against the cracked concrete, as if she were testing the ground. "It feels alive." Eli's heart tightened. Every word she spoke reminded him of the cruelty she had endured. Every moment she had been trapped here alone. He swallowed and moved toward the terminal on the wall. The screens flickered weakly, but some still worked. He scanned the records. Project files. Names and numbers he did not recognize. Experiments, surgeries, tests all focused on her. She had been a living tool, harvested for her unique DNA. For years, humans or someone who used human technology had studied her, taken from her everything that made life worth living. "Your blood. Your DNA," Eli muttered, his voice low. "They did all this because of what you are?" She nodded, eyes downcast. "I was born different. That made me valuable. That made me a weapon. And a prisoner." Her voice cracked. "I cried so many times, and no one came. No one cared. Until now." Eli felt a surge of anger and shame at what humans had done. He thought of the soldiers who had given orders, the scientists who had written reports, the bureaucrats who had called her experiments necessary. And now, decades later, he was the one who could undo it. Or at least try. Before he could act, the room shifted. Alarms blared, piercing and harsh, echoing off the metal walls. Lights flashed red. Automated turrets unfolded from hidden panels in the ceiling, their lenses scanning the room. They're waking up," the girl gasped, panic clear in her voice. "They will kill anyone who tries to take me." Eli's fingers clenched into fists. He had faced soldiers, raiders, and machines during the war, but nothing had scared him like this. Nothing had made him feel so responsible. "We have to move," he said, voice steady despite the fear rising in his chest. "Now." The girl's silver eyes glowed faintly as she stepped closer. "I can help," she whispered, and for the first time, Eli saw determination mixed with her fear. "But it will change me. It will hurt." Eli glanced at her, unsure. "I don't care. Just stay behind me. We'll get through this together." She nodded, trembling, and he reached for the control panel. Sparks flew as he pushed buttons, manually overriding locks. The turrets focused on them, beams of light slicing through the air. Eli grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and smashed one, watching it spark and collapse. Another aimed directly at them, but the girl stepped forward. Raising her hand, energy burst from her body, a soft blue light that twisted and shimmered. The turret fell apart, metal bending and twisting as if it had been made of paper. Eli's mouth fell open. You can do that?" he asked. She shook her head, breath ragged. "I don't know. It just came out. I've never tried before." Her voice wavered, but there was a hint of hope. "We have to keep going. They ran through the bunker together, dodging collapsing turrets and sparks flying from broken circuits. Eli felt his muscles burning, his lungs aching, but he never slowed. Every step he took reminded him of why he had left the war behind and why he had to save her. Finally, they reached the bunker's main exit. The door was massive, old, and heavy, but Eli forced it open. Sunlight hit them like a warm hand, blinding after years in artificial light. The desert stretched out, empty and endless, but at least it was free. The girl stumbled out, coughing, and Eli caught her. She pressed herself against his chest, weak but alive. "Thank you," she whispered, voice breaking. "I thought no one would ever come." "You don't have to thank me," Eli said, brushing sand from her hair. "I couldn't let them take you. Not after everything." Her glowing marks pulsed softly in the sunlight. Eli noticed the faintest shimmer along her arms, like tiny constellations moving. "You're amazing," he said quietly, awe and relief mingling in his voice. She looked at him, silver eyes wide. "No," she whispered. "You are. You opened the door when everyone else turned away. You chose to care." Eli shook his head, fighting back emotion. He had saved people before. Soldiers, refugees, children. But this was different. This was mercy without reward, courage without orders. He realized something in that moment that he hadn't felt since the war. Humanity was not just strength, it was choice. The choice to protect, to heal, to act even when it was dangerous. The desert wind whipped around them, carrying away dust and sparks. Eli and the girl stood there for a long moment, breathing, alive. Behind them, the bunker seemed to sigh, as if relieved too. Its decades of cruelty ending with a single act of courage. Then the distant hum of engines reached their ears. Drones were approaching, tracking them, relentless and unyielding. The fight wasn't over. But for the first time, Eli felt ready. Not because he was strong, but because he was human, and humans had a way of rising when it mattered most. He looked down at the girl, small but glowing with determination. "We keep moving," he said. "Together. No one takes you back, ever." Her lips trembled, forming a fragile smile. "Together," she echoed. And for the first time in years, hope felt real. The desert was alive with motion now, though it should have been empty. Drones rose from the ruins of the bunker like black insects, wings slicing the air, scanning for heat and motion. The hum of their engines was sharp, metallic, relentless. Eli's heart pounded as he pulled the girl behind a low ridge of sand. "They'll catch us," she whispered, fear shaking her voice. Her glowing marks flickered brighter, almost like warning lights. "They always catch anyone who tries to take me." Eli clenched his fists, scanning the horizon. The desert offered little cover. The dunes were soft, rolling, beautiful in the harsh sunlight, but also deadly. He looked at her, small and fragile, trembling against him. "Then we keep moving," he said firmly. "We run fast, we stay smart, and we don't stop until we're free." She nodded, though her silver eyes betrayed terror. Eli could see the memory of decades spent trapped in her expression, the long years of isolation, the constant fear of experiments, the pain of being used as a tool. Each glance reminded him why leaving her behind was never an option. The first drone appeared over a ridge, sleek and black, scanning the dunes. Its lens fixed on them, and a missile dropped with a hiss. Eli grabbed the girl, throwing her to the side, and dived behind a jagged rock. Sand exploded where they had stood a second before. "We have to split up." Eli shouted. "You can move faster than I can." She shook her head, clutching his arm. "No, I won't leave you." Eli shook his head, gritting his teeth. "I'm slower. That's why. But I need you alive. I need you out there." Her glowing arms pulsed brighter, and energy crackled in the air. A wave of force slammed into the drone, bending its metal body as if it were made of clay. It spiraled into the sand, broken. The girl gasped, exhausted, but her eyes shone with something fierce. Power, yes, but also determination. You're amazing, Eli said, awe and worry mixed in his voice. I don't even know what you can do. I don't know either, she whispered. I've never tried. But I have to. For both of us. They ran across the dunes, sand sucking at their boots, muscles burning, hearts hammering. The sun beat down, but Eli barely felt it. His mind focused on one thing, her safety. The girl stumbled once, but he caught her, steadying her with both arms. Her silver eyes met his. You really saved me, she whispered. Even knowing it could kill you. Eli shook his head, fighting back the emotion that threatened to choke him. That's what humans do, he said. We protect each other, even when it's dangerous. Even when it's hopeless. More drones appeared, dozens of them now, circling from above. Their engines droned like a swarm, their sensors scanning. Eli ducked behind a dune and pulled her down beside him. We can't outrun them forever. But maybe we can trick them. The girl's energy flickered again. She raised a trembling hand, focusing. A pulse of light shot across the sand, sending a nearby drone spinning out of control. Another followed. Eli felt his chest tighten at her bravery, her willingness to risk herself to save them both. They can't stop us, she said, voice firm now, almost commanding. Not if we stay together. Eli nodded. He looked at her, this strange, fragile, powerful being. No, he said. They can't, not while I'm with you. Not while humans remember mercy. The drones swarmed closer, weapons arcing toward them. Eli gritted his teeth. His hands tightened around a heavy metal rod he had picked up from the bunker. He swung at a drone that landed too close. Sparks flew, metal screeched, and the drone toppled. The girl took his hand, her energy blazing, pushing them both forward as they sprinted across the desert. Their shadows stretched long in the late afternoon sun, two figures against endless sand. Running not just for survival but for freedom. Behind them, the bunker glimmered in the heat waves, a dark scar on the desert. But Eli didn't look back. There was only one way forward through the dunes, into the unknown, together. Her silver eyes met his again, glowing softly in the dimming light. I don't know how I can ever repay you, she whispered. Eli shook his head, panting, blood and sand on his hands. You don't have to, he said. Just live. That's all the repayment I need. The wind whipped around them as the drones tried to keep pace, but Eli and the girl disappeared over the next dune. Human courage and alien strength moving together as one. In that moment, for the first time in decades, she tasted true freedom, and Eli knew, deep in his bones, that he had chosen right. Humanity was more than strength. It was mercy, courage, and the unshakable will to protect life, even when the world demanded otherwise. The sun was sinking low over the desert, painting the sky in streaks of red and gold. But there was no time to admire it. Eli's legs ached, muscles screaming with every step. Sand stuck to his bloodied hands, and the wind whipped grit into his eyes. Behind them, the drones circled, relentless and unyielding. But the girl, she had changed. Her silver eyes glowed brighter now, the faint constellations along her arms pulsing with energy. Every step she took seemed to leave a faint shimmer in the sand, as if her very presence could bend the world around her. Eli glanced at her, awe and worry mixing in equal measure. He had saved her, yes, but now it was clear that she could save them both, if she dared. They're faster than we are, Eli said, voice strained. We have to keep moving, or they'll catch us. She shook her head, determination etched across her delicate features. No, she whispered. We don't run anymore. Not just running. We fight together. Before Eli could ask what she meant, The nearest drone lunged toward them with a whine of energy weapons charging. She lifted her hand, trembling, and a surge of glowing power shot outward. The drone twisted in midair, sparks flying, metal bending like clay, until it crashed to the sand in pieces. Eli staggered back, amazed. "You're incredible," he said. His voice cracked. "I've never seen anything like this." I've never tried before," she admitted, her breath ragged. "They told me I was only for their use. But I'm not. I'm alive. I get to choose what I do." They ran again, but now it was different. The girl moved with purpose, her glowing marks flaring as she disrupted the drones that tried to follow. Eli noticed a change in her posture, in her confidence. She was no longer the scared girl trapped in glass. She was alive, and she knew it. A dozen drones descended from a ridge ahead, weapons aimed. Eli froze for a moment, panic threatening to overwhelm him. But the girl stepped forward, raising both hands. A wave of energy rippled from her body, like sunlight bending through water. The drones hit the force and twisted in the air, crashing into each other, sparks showering like fireworks. Eli couldn't help but laugh through his fear. "You're saving me now," he shouted. "Not the other way around." She smiled faintly, exhaustion written into every line of her face. "We're saving each other," she said, softly, almost like a prayer. "That's what that's what life is supposed to mean." As the last of the drones fell, Eli sank to his knees, chest heaving. The girl stumbled toward him, catching herself, and he wrapped his arms around her. She trembled in his hold, weak but alive, and for the first time in years, neither of them felt the constant weight of fear pressing down on them. "I thought I would never see freedom again," she whispered, voice breaking. "I thought the world only wanted to use me, to hurt me, to control me." Eli shook his head, brushing sand from her glowing arms. "Not all of the world," he said gently. "Some humans still remember what mercy is. Some humans remember courage. And some humans remember how to protect, even when it's dangerous." Her eyes searched his, silver and bright against the darkening sky. You remember?" she asked, voice trembling. "Even after everything?" Eli's chest tightened. He thought of the war, the lies, the destruction. He thought of the soldiers he had failed to save and the ones he had tried to protect. And he thought of her, the living proof that humanity was capable of better. "I remember," he said softly. "I've never stopped remembering. Mercy, compassion. Choosing the right thing even when no one else will. That's what makes us human." She pressed her hand to his cheek, trembling. "Then, you're different," she said. "You're the human I hoped existed." Eli smiled through the exhaustion and the blood and the sand. "We're not all monsters," he said. Some of us are like this moment. Small but alive, courageous, choosing to do right even when it hurts." The desert wind swept around them, carrying away the smell of burnt metal and the echoes of the fallen drones. For a long moment, they simply stood there, together, alive in a world that had almost forgotten what it meant to care. The girl's marks pulsed softly now, almost gently, as if the desert itself recognized her survival. She looked up at the horizon, where the last rays of sun touched the dunes with gold, and whispered, "I thought I had nothing left to hope for. But I was wrong, because of you, because of humans like you." Eli's throat tightened. "And because of you," he said quietly. "Because you didn't give up, because you're alive. That's the real power. That's what matters." They stayed together as night fell, the stars above reflecting in her silver eyes. The desert, once a place of death and fear, now held a strange kind of peace. And Eli knew something he hadn't felt in decades. Humanity was alive, not just in strength or weapons, but in mercy, courage, and the simple, unshakable will to protect life, even when no one else would. In that moment, Eli realized the truth he had always hoped for. Humans were capable of greatness. Not for conquest, not for glory, but for the simple, powerful act of choosing to care. And that choice had saved her. The desert night was quiet, almost peaceful, but Eli knew better than to trust it. The drones had been destroyed, or at least scattered, but the people who had trapped her were still out there, somewhere, watching, waiting. They would not give up. They never did. Eli glanced at the girl. She was tired, weak, but still glowing faintly, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight above. Her arms shimmered with soft pulsing energy, like the heartbeat of a living galaxy. For the first time she looked at him not as someone to protect her, but as someone who believed in her. "We need to send a warning," Eli said. His voice was low, tired, but firm. "They need to know we're not hiding, that what they did, what they tried to do, it won't stay secret." The girl tilted her head. "You want everyone to see what they did to me." Her voice was small, almost fearful. "Won't that make them angry?" Eli shook his head. "They're already angry. Hiding won't help. We can give the galaxy a choice. They can see what humans are, what we protect, what we fight for." They reached the small tower hidden in the dunes, a relic of the old wars. Eli climbed inside, her glowing hand brushing his arm to steady him. "I'll work the system. You help me stay alive," he said with a small, tired smile. She nodded, gripping his jacket tightly, determination in her glowing eyes. The console whirred to life, ancient circuits sparking, but working. Eli tapped into every available frequency, sending the footage they had captured in the bunker. The experiments, the glass chamber, the machines, the scars on her arms, the pain in her voice. Every injustice, every cruelty, every moment she had been trapped. "This will reach them," Eli said softly. "Every species, every world watching human space." She looked at him, silver eyes wide. "Do you really think they'll believe humans care?" Eli smiled faintly, his eyes tired but steady. "Some will, some always do, and some will have to. That's enough." They sent the footage across the galaxy. Every channel, every frequency, every signal path they could reach. A human voice, steady and firm, narrated the truth. She is alive. She is not property. She is not a weapon. She is a living being, and if anyone tries to take her, they answer to all of us. As the last signal left the tower, the girl exhaled, trembling. "I've never spoken to the galaxy before," she whispered. "I've never been able to. I've never had a choice." "You have now," Eli said, "and this is your voice too." He looked at her glowing marks, still pulsing softly. "You've shown the universe mercy, and courage, and life. Just by being alive." She smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. "Humans, you're not what I expected," she said, voice soft. "I thought you would leave me. I thought I was alone." "You weren't," Eli said quietly, shaking his head. "Humans can fail, yes, but we can also rise. We can choose to protect, to help, to fight, even when it's dangerous. Even when no one else would." The wind whipped through the desert, carrying away the echoes of the fallen drones and the distant hum of old machines. Eli and the girl stood together, watching the horizon glow faintly as the galaxy received their message. Somewhere out there, other beings, aliens, humans, soldiers, civilians would see, would understand, would remember that mercy was a choice, courage was a choice, and life was always worth protecting. The girl turned to Eli, exhausted, glowing faintly in the moonlight. "I don't think anyone will ever try to trap me again," she whispered. "Maybe," Eli said, brushing sand from her hair. "But even if they do, humanity will be ready. Not because of strength, not because of weapons, but because we remember what it means to care, to choose." She looked at him, tears glimmering in silver eyes. "Then, you're human. Truly human," she said, "not just in body, but in heart. You saved me, Eli Harper. You reminded me what life can mean. He smiled faintly, exhausted, but alive. "And you reminded me what humans can be," he said. "We're not perfect. We've made mistakes, we've done terrible things, but sometimes we choose right. And that's enough to change everything." The desert was quiet again. The stars reflected in her glowing marks, and in the endless night, Eli understood something he hadn't felt in years. Hope was not lost. Humanity was still alive. Alive in courage. Alive in mercy. Alive in the small, simple acts of choosing to protect life, even when no one else would. And in that moment, with the galaxy listening, Eli and the girl knew one truth above all. Humans could rise above cruelty, above fear, and above despair. They could shine even in the darkest places. And sometimes that light could save not just one life, but an entire world. The stars had begun to fade as dawn crept over the horizon, painting the desert in soft gold and pale pink. The girl stood on a small dune, looking out at the endless landscape, her glowing marks pulsing faintly with the memory of the fight. For the first time in her life, she breathed freely, not through a tube, not trapped in glass, not under the gaze of those who sought to use her. Free, Eli leaned against his old transport truck, arms crossed, exhausted but alive. His clothes were torn, his hands bloodied and blistered, and his face was streaked with sand and sweat. Yet in his eyes there was calm, peace.